Do you think everything in the Bible is there for a reason? Even its unrecognizable place names? I've spent nearly 30 years studying this question. Join me to experience how the regions of the Holy Land are part of the story. I'm Jack Beck, and this is the Holy Land. If you ever find yourself out in the wilderness of Judea at night, you'll want to be with someone who knows how to survive.
Welcome, JK.
It's amazing. Generations of Bedouin have adapted their lifestyle to live in these desolate places. The wilderness has shaped their culture. The hospitality of the Bedouin people is legendary. Even so, I didn't expect a feast.
Welcome in Judean Desert.
This experience is completely different than the experience Jesus had when he was out here for 40 days and 40 nights.
How long?
Taken under 2 hours.
I ventured out here into the heart of the wilderness to experience the conditions and landscape with which Jesus contended. But unlike Jesus, I don't plan on being hungry, completely alone, and exposed to the elements during my time here. I see potato and onion.
Yes, all the vegetable and the meat of the goat.
A feast. It's easy as a guest, sitting by a cozy campfire and listening to music, to think that the Bedouin have conquered the wilderness. But that's not quite true. They've only learned to survive in it. The reality is that wilderness makes the rules. They've had to do the hard work of adapting. Like my host Adnan, the Bedouin have been passing down the secrets of desert survival generation by generation.
This is my desert. In this my desert we are learn anything here.
Yeah.
Anything you can learn here. Teaching how you live in the difficult life. And you can see another amazing thing in the desert.
It's fascinating that this is exactly how God used this land in the stories of the Bible, to humble, to test, and to teach his followers. The truth of these experiences has endured for millennia. No one who enters the wilderness leaves unchanged. Simply wonderful. Thank you. I could sit all night and listen. So when I read the story of Jesus being led by the Spirit of God into the wilderness to be alone, I have to ask why. That question of why is so important when I read and study the Bible. This land and the challenges of surviving in it provides the perfect backdrop for God to ask his followers a simple question. Do you trust me? As I leave behind the hospitality, comfort, and safety of last night, this is the very question that colors my understanding of the test and temptation of Jesus that he met in this place. And then you have this. Signs of life in the wilderness that aren't here anymore. I hope that guy's okay. You know, it reminds me, this is such a dangerous place to be. You can slip and fall on this terrain, and if you're alone out here, you're in huge trouble. If you run out of water out here, you're in huge trouble. If you don't bring enough food along, you're in huge trouble out here. And in the evening, you've got Iranian wolves that run around. I hope none of those are the story of this shoe. The story in the Bible says that just before Jesus began to teach and perform miracles publicly, he was baptized in the Jordan River and then immediately sensed the Spirit of God leading him into the wilderness. Here in this place, he would be tested and tempted by the devil. We read that the devil timed his encounter carefully, challenging Jesus' trust in God his Father. Jesus had been out here alone, fasting for 40 days. And then when Jesus is at his weakest moment, Satan says, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become bread." Jesus would have been ravaged by hunger. His body demanded exactly what the devil offered. Man, that had to be tempting. But What is God teaching us through this encounter? That story provided just the right amount of details and just the kind of details that help connect the experience of Jesus in wilderness with the experience of Israel in wilderness. About 1,400 years before Jesus entered this region, God used Moses to lead his people out of slavery in Egypt into the wilderness. This famous wilderness story in the Old Testament played out in a similar ecosystem, all in order to humble them, test them, and teach them to fully trust him. Israel was in wilderness for 40 years, Jesus for 40 days. Both of them experienced extreme hunger out here, which isn't surprising. I mean, I'm looking around for something to eat here, and I don't find a single edible plant. And while that hunger raged, both the people of God and Jesus had to answer the same question. Will you trust me, even though the fundamentals for survival are not in view? Will you trust me? Will you trust me? And wow, did Israel struggle with that. I know I would have too. I'm not suggesting that I would have gotten it right. Israel just struggled with this. When God provided food for them miraculously, they got tired of the food. When God provided water miraculously for them, they felt it wasn't in time. And Israel began to say, we're done with this. I'm done with wilderness. Take me back to Egypt. I don't want to have anything more to do with this experience. And I think that's why Jesus came into the wilderness. For Jesus, this time of testing was much more than a comparison with ancient Israel. Despite his condition, the loneliness and hunger of the last 40 days, he boldly answered the devil using the same words that Moses used to help the Israelites put their trust in God. Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. What nobody knew at the time, except for Satan and God the Father, was that the battle for our eternal destiny was playing out among the stones and dust of this place. Hiking all day, I've been constantly aware of my thirst and my dwindling water supply. As the shadows lengthen, I'm also aware of the miles that remain before I get back to the safety of my Bedouin hosts. If the Judean wilderness is scary during the daylight hours, it's positively terrifying at night. My experience resonates with that of ancient Israel. Knowing what to do in the wilderness is not the same as doing it. And that's why I find this story so compelling. Jesus came through his time in the wilderness the same as he went in, fully trusting and following God, revealing who he truly was and what he came to do. Simply put, Jesus came to do what you and I could not do, and undo what we have done. All of the other wilderness stories in the Bible are stories that change people. This story is a story of how Jesus changed wilderness for us.